We had a comically small trailer. I think it was only 6 feet long. It was like a tiny little cube, and then we bought the van over on Charlotte Pike at Bellmead Auto. They do a bunch of like car auctions, so this guy Gary helped us out. I just remember every week he'd be going to the auction, being like, "Do I get this one?" And like it was so stressful because if you told him to buy it off auction, you had to buy the van. So
Yeah.
we ended up getting that white van, and we've sold it since and upgraded vans, but that thing covered a lot of miles.
Awesome. Well, I thank you all again for doing this. My name's Adam, and this is about you all and your journey in music. I want to kind of get the origin story of the band, and we'll talk about the new, at least the new record you have coming out, or the new one you just released, and everything else going on.
Yeah, awesome.
Awesome. Thanks
Sweet.
for having us.
Yeah, I'm just gonna start with Barton, because you're the first one on my list here on the side. So where were you born and raised? Are you from Nashville?
I am from Nashville, Tennessee, about a mile from where I'm currently sitting right now.
Wow. So you grew up here. That's awesome.
Yep. We actually all grew up here.
Oh, okay. Did you all meet like in school or something, or later down the line?
Yeah, I mean, Willard and Ford went all the way back to preschool, and then Willard and William went to elementary through high school together, but I met William in high school, and that's kind of where Boy Named Banjo got started. And then we met Sam shortly after that.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, you guys have been together for a while then. Barton, do you come from a musical household?
I do. My mom is a piano teacher, so there was always piano, good and bad, coming from the downstairs. My dad plays banjo, not professionally, and also upright bass. And that was always in my ears growing up as a kid, which is cool. But
yeah. So did you start on piano? I would imagine probably just because your mom taught it.
I took one lesson from my mom growing up, and it was a total train wreck. And I swore I'd never do it again, but I actually didn't. So banjo was my first instrument. And my dad kind of helped me get started on that when I was about 15 or 16.
Oh, awesome. And what about you, Ford? So you're obviously from Nashville as well. Do you come from a musical household?
Yeah, so you're not going to believe this. My mom was also a piano teacher.
No way.
And
rivaling teachers.
Yeah. And I also I started out on piano. I took like one lesson with my mom, and then that wasn't really clicking. And then I took more piano lessons. I actually got kicked out of piano classes for not practicing.
Oh, really? Were you taking it from Barton's mom?
No, not from Barton's mom.
Wouldn't that be a twist?
That would have been funny. No, then I switched to bass, and like probably when I was like 13. And then switched over to upright bass when I was like 16 or 17.
Okay.
And now I play both.
Wow. So what drew you to bass? Was it just something you're interested in?
Man, I got a Guitar Center catalog in the mail and just saw one, and it was just like I don't know. I just saw the picture of it. I was like, I gotta have that. And so I went and I begged my parents for it, and they bought it for me.
And then,
yeah. But
then going to upright bass, I mean, that's quite a jump, especially the size, and I would imagine everything else.
Yeah. I didn't really like want to do it. My mom just got it and gave it to me and was like, "You're gonna learn how to play this so you can get into college," and it worked.
Oh.
So yeah.
So you went to college for upright bass or bass?
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, upright.
Did you go
bass.
to Belmont?
UNC Chapel Hill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So did you do like upright bass in the school band and all that stuff? I mean, to get into the school, you must have had to.
I was a jazz studies major, and then played in the orchestra all 4 years. And then realized that music was pretty hard to play, and so then I switched over to bluegrass.
Okay. And you grew up with the guys then, and the rest of the guys in the band. Were you
Yeah.
guys all in a band like in high school or anything?
I played a couple Boy Named Banjo shows in high school. I'd been playing upright for about a month, and then played a couple gigs with Barton, William, and Willard. But yeah, I played in other bands too. Nothing of note, but
I'll say, so the band started in Boy Named Banjo started when the rest of you guys were in high school then? That's where it kind of originated? And then later, obviously, Ford joined and Sam joined later. Is that how it started?
Yeah, we started out as a trio, Barton, Willard, and I. And, you know, like we were saying, Ford popped in for a couple shows as a bass player. And then when we were about, I think, freshmen in college or something like that, we were rehearsing over at Willard's parents' garage or downstairs area. And Sam just walked over from next door because he was dating Willard's neighbor.
Oh, wow.
And just said, "You guys need a drummer." And so we had Sam on full time from there. And then Ford kind of came back full circle, I guess right after college.
yeah, 2017.
Yeah, 2017, because he was working at United Record Pressing.
Yep.
Is that the name of it?
Wow.
We got him for one show up at Swanee, and I think you came with us and you quit your job the next day. So
Yeah, I did.
that is how we all five permanently came together there. But so it's been a very slow roll, you know.
Yeah. Wow. Because you had some records out prior to that. I mean, before, yeah, you enjoyed the band. William, what about you? How did you get into music? Again, I don't need to ask where you're from because Nashville area.
I'm also from Nashville. And man, musically, my dad had an acoustic guitar. Wasn't necessarily a player or anything, but let's see, Centennial Park was doing free harmonica lessons. And so my first introduction to music was actually playing the harmonica down at Centennial Park, and then I picked up guitar and took from Rob Jackson, who also taught Willard, who also taught Ford, who also had taught Barton a little bit of banjo too. So that's an interesting thing. Yeah, the same dude played in a great local band called the White Animals. And I think my family, my dad's mom, so my grandmother was a singer in Florida, kind of like I don't think you can even look her up, but then my great aunt actually wrote a lot of songs for Benjamin Orr from the Cars for his solo project.
Really?
They dated for a while. Yeah, so that's something I found out way after I started playing music, was that she was very musical. So that's pretty cool.
That's amazing. Okay. So, and now I'm going back down here in order. Willard, how did you get into music?
I mean, I didn't really have a musical family per se. My uncle had a guitar that I can remember kind of sparking some interest at an early age, but I think it was more so just like we said earlier, William and I went to kindergarten through high school and everything, and it was like around 5th or 6th grade that he started taking guitar, and some other people and I was just like, wow, that's pretty cool, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We all give that a shot, and never thought that however many years later I'd still be doing it, but here we are.
So were you guys close friends, and once you found out that William was playing guitar, you wanted to kind of join him or play with him?
Oh yeah, we played in the 6th grade snack break rock bands and stuff, and played AC/DC covers and Weezer and you name it, and it was great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And Sam, what about you? Did you come from a musical household?
I did not actually. So both my parents kind of grew up in the middle of nowhere, more or less, and they didn't really have access to any kind of like school programs that were musical at all. So when they had kids, they just really wanted me and my sister to be exposed to something like that. So they made me start taking piano lessons when I was probably like 5.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't really like it. Kind of gravitated towards guitar. So I started doing like, I guess what some of the other guys were doing, just taking guitar lessons young. But then I kept hearing drummers just bang like the crap out of
You can
stuff
swear,
like across
just so
the
you know.
hall. What'd you say?
I said you can swear, just so you,
Oh, okay. I
yeah.
didn't know. I was about to. Didn't know.
I noticed. That's why I didn't know.
That's
Yeah, that was for you or for this. So you can cuss if you want.
Okay, so they were banging the shit out of like whatever across the hallway, and I was like, I don't know what that is, but that looks a lot more fun. So I'm going to do that. And so drumming became more of just like an outlet for me, where I could just, come home after school, let out some aggression, and play along to my favorite like Metallica record or whatever.
Mhm.
And that's kind of where it started. I never really thought I'd be in any kind of band that did anything of any substance. I just really wanted to have fun the whole time. And eventually I kind of got a dream of touring and, giving whatever kind of aggression that I had loved about drums, like back to an audience.
Mhm.
And that's, I guess, why I started playing in high school and some, garage bands and stuff like that. And eventually just kind of led to Boy Named Banjo.
And you joined Boy Named Banjo after you had graduated and everything. So you joined like
Graduated high school. Yeah. This was, I guess, the summer, like in the middle of our freshman and sophomore year of college, in between, when I was chilling at my ex-girlfriend's house, like William said, and she was like telling me all about how cool Boy Named Banjo was and how they had a record out and like they put it out in high school. And I was like, that's ambitious as hell for a high school group to like put out a bluegrass record or Americana or whatever. Like I'd never heard of really like any bluegrass, much less like kids enjoying it. Cause what I
right.
thought about bluegrass was like, oh, it's like 80-year-old men like chewing tobacco on their porch listening to this stuff, So I was just intrigued more than anything. And that's kind of what led me to walk over there.
It's interesting because you said you started wanting to bang the shit out of the drums, and then you joined this band that really isn't that vibe as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It wasn't back then, that's for sure. I really had to adjust what I was doing.
Was that
'cause
difficult?
oh yeah, that was the hardest part, I think. I really had to consult a lot of people, like my drum teacher, and luckily my father-in-law, but not through my marriage, but my sister's husband's dad used to be a professional drummer.
Oh, wow.
And he played a lot of like minimalist stuff that maybe with like brushes or whatever, like what a drummer for maybe like James Taylor or like Crosby, Stills and Nash would do, right?
Okay.
Something like laid back and more for the song than for the like pure sport of hitting things, right? So
Yeah.
I talked to him a lot. I brought the whole record that Boy Named Banjo had out already to him. And basically I was like, all right, if this had drums on it, what would it sound like? And we kind of went through song by song and like kind of rewrote things as if there was more of a rhythm section. And it took a while, but I came back to Boy Named Banjo, to William Barton and Willard at the time, with those ideas. And I think they liked me a little bit more after that. Because
Oh,
the
yeah.
first introduction
Put in the
was a little
time, right?
intense. Yeah, the first time I played with them was quite intense, I will say.
It was
Especially
hilarious.
since it was in Willard's family's basement.
We all thought it was the best thing ever. And like just knowing that you had no idea what you were doing in that kind of setting is just hilarious. I love that.
I had no idea, man. Zero idea.
That's so funny.
Kind
Did
of
all
like
of
too.
did you guys all go to school aside from Ford? Did you guys go
Oh,
to
I
the
went to
same
their
high
I went
school?
to their
I mean,
rival high
college.
school.
I meant like when you went to college.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sort of.
Okay. So is
I
that
guess
where you kind of, well, you just mentioned that you were at your ex-girlfriend's house. That's how you kind of came over. But the first record you guys put out was in high school. William, like Barton, you guys all got together. You were playing in high school. Like, when did you decide to start Boy Named Banjo? Like, how did that all begin?
I guess that was like in 2011, maybe. But William and I had been writing songs together for like maybe a year. And then he plays guitar, I play banjo. We really wanted a mandolin player and another guitar player. And so we kind of stole Willard from this other high school band. And as soon as Willard joined the group, we changed our name to Boy Named Banjo.
Okay. It was something, yeah, you had a different band prior to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we started playing, some local gigs and stuff after that, and then kind of kept writing and eventually had enough songs to record our first little album before we graduated, which was fun.
Yeah. What was that experience like, going in there and putting down your songs to a CD?
It was a learning experience, It was funny though, because like we'd be going in there like almost every Sunday, after prom or whatever, and it was kind of a nice escape as a high schooler, just let all those emotions out.
Sure.
We
Definitely.
learned a lot. Jimmy Johnson, who used to go on tour with Vince Gill as his bass player, he was his band leader for years. He was kind of our producer along
Okay.
with Gary Schiebler, and they showed us a lot of things, and it was a great experience at a young age. And then we kind of got that itch, we wanted to keep doing it.
Yeah. And was that the Tanglewood Sessions, was that album that you guys did in high school, or is it the next one after that?
Yeah, so that was Tanglewood Sessions.
Okay. And then once you put out Long Story Short, was that once the band kind of formed all together with all of you, or prior to for joining still?
Right. That was, I think, we were in college then.
Okay.
Yeah, I
For
was
long
on
story
that
short,
record, but
yeah.
I believe Jimmy Johnson played bass on that while he was producing.
Yeah, that was prior to Ford joining, but Sam
Okay.
had just joined, and that was the first record that Sam was on.
Mhm.
Okay. And were
That
you
was
guys
like
out at Fry Pharmacy, which was a studio out in, was it Old
Close-
Hickory or something? It was by the
Yeah.
lake, but it was an old pharmacy that had, the tile ceilings and
Oh,
stuff.
wow.
So it was pretty cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. And when do you guys start like touring, and when does this kind of become like a full-time thing? Was that around 2017? Because it sounds like you were touring and then Ford ended up joining at that point. Were you guys touring as just the four of you for a long time, or playing out around Nashville, or like what was kind of like was there like a milestone that you can remember that kind of changed things for you all?
Yeah.
there
I mean,
definitely was a milestone.
yeah, we had another bass player in that interim period, Abe Scott, who Daryl Scott's his dad, the songwriter and musician who's unbelievable. And so we were actually going out, and who Willard met him at UT Knoxville, and we would actually gig on the weekends, like play fraternity gigs or whatever. By senior year, we were gone every single weekend, doing the weekend warrior thing. But I would say the first real tour, I mean, that was when we graduated school, and had Ford, and it was, starting to play real venues and stuff. I'd say when we got our van, it's probably when it got serious, when we bought a van.
Yeah, did you guys pull your money together? I love hearing the van story. Like, okay, guys, we got to get our money together. We're gonna buy this van. Like, was probably the first real big investment in the band?
100%. We had a comically small trailer. I think it was only 6 feet long. It was like a tiny little cube. And then we bought the van over on Charlotte Pike at Bellmead Auto. They do a bunch of like car auctions. So this guy Gary helped us out. I just remember every week he'd be going to the auction being like, do I get this one? And like it was so stressful because if you told him to buy it off auction, you had to buy the van. So
Yeah.
we ended up getting that white van, and we've sold it since and upgraded vans. But that thing covered a lot of miles.
That's cool.
Still in the band though.
What was the first recording that you played on then, Ford?
Circles was the first thing I played on. And we started tracking that either in 2017 or 2018. And then it didn't come out for a while after that. But yeah, it's funny. So like when I joined, I ran into Barton at a party and it was like, hey, we're doing this gig. Can you fill in on bass? I was like, yeah, totally. And so I went and did that. I was like, do you want to do this tour with us? I was like, yeah. So I quit my job and did that tour. I didn't know at the time that was like the first like real Boy Named Banjo tour.
Where were you guys? Were you touring at like, were you guys the headlining band and kind of just going through city to city? Okay.
Yeah, the first show on that tour was Charlottesville, Virginia, and it was a sold out show. So my first show with Boy Named Banjo was like a packed club. And I thought, thought we'd made it at that point.
I made a great decision here.
Yeah, I kind of blanked out. So when we had Abe, we had toured around a year's worth of time. I mean, we had done some touring before then, but yeah, Ford is where we started, adding to our team. We never had anyone on. We didn't have a manager or really booking or anything like that up until Ford joined.
Okay. I mean, you have with Feel For You, that song is massive on Spotify. Was that something, and that came out in 2018, at least according to this. Was that a song that like blew up and changed everything for you all? Or like, tell me, or is that something that came later? Like, what was the success behind that song?
Man, that was kind of just a slow burn, we put it out in 2018. Ford, that was the first thing that Ford was on. So it's the first thing we put out as all 5 of us. And for that to blow up was pretty cool.
Yeah, I bet.
It was a lot of confidence, but it's been kind of a slow roll with that song. People are still streaming the heck out of it. And, just recently in the past year or so, we've started to see more and more people singing the lyrics to that one. So we do have some tricks up our sleeve regarding that song to give it some more life coming up here soon.
Cool.
So I can't wait to share that.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like Circles is at least what Ford was saying. That record was started back in 2017, and then like, are you working on the album? Then like pandemic happens, or like to kind of tell me how. I mean, it sounds like there was quite a bit of time spent recording that album.
No, I mean it really didn't take that long to record. It's just we recorded it in a garage studio with our producer Oscar Charles, and then it was done. And then we shopped record labels for a year. We got a deal. Getting the contracts and lawyer shit figured out took another year.
Oh yeah.
Then that was April 2020 when that was done. And so then, the entire music industry went on pause for another year.
Were you guys like once you signed that? I mean, obviously you signed a record deal. That had to be a huge milestone in the career for you all. But then it's like, okay, it's April. We're in the midst of COVID at that point. I mean, did you guys like, do you have a plan? Like, were you like, okay, we signed this deal, but no one's doing anything? Like, what were your minds at that time?
Yeah, that was definitely very difficult. I mean, we signed over Zoom. So
wow.
Yeah, we were laughing. Our press release photo for that is like this, like what you're seeing on the screen, just everyone's little face. And
that's
so,
amazing.
Yeah, I remember everyone, once we were done with our 5-minute chat, everyone started signing off. And in the meantime, Barton was like, I'm gonna go get a beer, and like he left. And then when he came back, it was just me and him and like 1 or 2 other guys, and we were like, oh. This is kind of sad.
Quite the celebration.
Yeah, so I mean, we didn't even meet in person with anybody from the label for a long time. So what the pandemic caused us to do was just keep writing and creating and kept writing.
Yeah, that's a lot. How do you guys typically write? Is it individually and then you record something on your own and then kind of come together and collaborate on that, or is it done all together in a room? Or
It's it's definitely unique. I mean, it's Barton and I write pretty much exclusively. We write together, but we also write for a publishing company, Little Louder Music.
Mhm.
But what's funny about that is we're always in the room together. I mean, 95% of the time. So we'll collaborate with some other co-writers and stuff. But unlike a lot of Music Row writers, we don't like full blown out demos where they've got a lead guitar part and stuff. We like to just put the iPhone down and make it bare bones, and then we take it in that kind of setting that I was mentioning with the band and Oscar, and it's like, all right, the first thing that comes to Ford's mind or Sam's mind or Willard's mind, we start rolling with that, and then the song the band puts their fingerprint on it, in other words.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
cool.
So that's why when you hear a Boy Named Banjo song, you know, if you've listened to enough of them, you know it's Willard Logan on the guitar because he's writing those parts almost every single time. So
Yeah. Do you enjoy that part, Willard, like going into it, having that, kind of structure behind the song already? Or do you have riffs that you're like, oh, this might work for this piece? Like, how do you come to write your parts?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest part of that for all of us is like we said, listening to work tapes and stuff, and whichever one we hear that gets the five of us and our producer Oscar, whatever gets us excited, and we decide to roll with, then at that point the ideas just start flowing, whether it's a bass line, a drum part, a guitar line, whatever it is, they all start snowballing kind of in real time when we're in the studio. And that's where the magic happens for me, really, is just when, like everybody's chasing the oohs and ahs and the woos in the studio where everyone gets excited at a part when they hear something. Cause I mean, if no one's excited when we're laying the song down, then they're probably not going to be excited when it's out in the world either. So
Sure.
we're just chasing that energy the whole time we're in the studio together.
Love that. And you have a new one out. What Keeps Me Going is the newest song. What is kind of talk to me about that song, and how did that come about?
yeah, we wrote that song with Pat McLaughlin, who's incredible writer and artist. That song, I feel like, a lot of us since 2019, 2020 have gotten married or engaged and spent a lot of time on the road. It kind of gives you a lot of perspective on life. And so although the road's fun, it's the best job ever, it still is a job. It's still difficult. So what keeps me going is kind of just about, I think everyone can relate to it in the sense that you got to do what you got to do in order to do what you want to do, and to just sit by a lake and hang out and look at the stars and all that. So it kind of has the mixture of, the simple things, the simple pleasures of life, and then, having to kind of put your nose to the grindstone to get there. Yeah.
Love it. And you guys just played at CMA Fest, last week?
Yeah.
We did. Yeah.
What was that like? And it's wild down there.
It's always
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. It's you got to burn good.
I was just gonna say we played Ascend Amphitheater.
Yeah, that's a beautiful venue.
Yeah, that's like my favorite venue in Nashville to see a show. I drive, on Korean Veterans, that bridge that overlooks the venue all the time. So I'm always looking at it, being like, can't wait to play there again. That was really fun opening up for Cadillac 3. There are some dudes that took us on the road kind of early on, and we love them. So yeah, we had a great CMA Fest this year.
Cool. And you guys have, I saw a video of you playing the Ryman, and being all from Nashville, that must have been quite a moment as well.
Oh,
Yeah, that's pretty unmatched. Is playing that stage. That was probably the coolest feeling I've had in this band. Just because we grew up we still go to shows there all the time, and it's just kind of a legendary place.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a cool venue, and it's yeah, like you said, it's like a legendary spot in Nashville to be like, oh, well, you played the Rhyme. I mean, that's such a big deal to to say.
It's definitely like super nervous before that first show at the Ryman, opening up for the Cadillac guys.
Yeah, I bet.
Mhm.
Well, so what keeps me going is going to be on the newest album you have coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely it's part of the bigger project. Yeah.
Very, very cool. And I know you have some shows coming up. You got one, I think, this weekend, right? South Carolina or something.
Yeah, we're driving to Charleston tomorrow. And then straight on back home after that.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess some scattered shows that looks like throughout the next few months into September. That's from what I
Yeah,
saw.
it's like every weekend until like August. Then we're taking August off, I think, and then hitting it hard again in the fall.
Exciting.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you all doing this today. Thank you so much, especially getting you all on the call. I have one more question, and I want to get an answer from all of you individually, if that's cool.
Yeah,
I want to know
sure.
if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
If y'all are still thinking on it, I can go.
Sure.
Man,
Yeah,
I would say
start off.
for an aspiring artist, one thing, I don't mean this in a bad way, but you don't have to come to Nashville to do music. I say that because the gauntlet of Nashville, it's a monster, you know. And I think the thing that happens in Nashville the most is you kind of get told what you need to be. And so I would say for an artist, be yourself, find out who you are. I think there's this new resurgence of just authenticity coming out of the music industry right now, and it's amazing. There's always room for something new and fresh, and so do what you know and be yourself, and yeah, grow your base wherever you're at. It doesn't matter where you are. You can start building a fan base and write, and play.
Love it. Who's up
I
next?
love that. I love that you said be authentic, because I think that's probably the most important thing you can do outside of just making great music, which is what I think my biggest piece of advice I would say is just, you know, it's easy to get wrapped up in the business side of everything and chasing those goals you have there. But, you know, I would say just keep your focus on the music and woodshedding and, you know, just making it incrementally better however you can.
Yeah.
Love it.
I agree with everything y'all said. The only thing I guess I could add to that is just don't let your ego get in the way of your art and your career. Like, I don't know, just put your nose to the grindstone, be humble. I know a lot of people that get to the point of signing a record deal and they celebrate and they think, you know, they're the best thing that ever happened. And then they kind of lose that grinding attitude and nothing happens beyond that. And that's kind of where you just get started, at least for us, you know. We're still in the van, we're still grinding.
We're humbled every day.
We're humble.
Yeah. I heard somebody say that when you get the deal, it's like you've moved from like the little kid table at Thanksgiving to the big table. And now it's like, what can you do here?
I like that.
Yeah, I
Corey,
guess
you wanna-
yeah, my advice would just be to listen to as much stuff as you can all the time, regardless of if it's in your genre or not in your genre, if you like it, if you don't like it. Just like the more influences you collect along the way are going to be what makes you as an artist. Whereas, like, you know, if you're trying to be a country artist and the only thing you listen to is Brad Paisley, like, that's great, but Brad Paisley is already Brad Paisley. We don't need another one. We need whoever you're going to be. And so listen to weird shit all the time, and you never know when you're going to hear something and be like, oh, I can add this there to make this part of what my art is, our art is. So
Very cool. What about you, Sam?
Yeah,
Wrapping
that's
it
so
up?
true, man. to piggyback off of that, you know, you want to like always be looking around at things, you know, other artists around you. But something I don't know if you just said this, Spartan, I don't think you did, but Barton all the time will say, anytime we're getting down about anything that's not going our way in the industry or whatever, he says comparison is the thief of joy. And it kind of sets us back focusing on ourselves. And I think that that would be a piece of advice that I'd give to really any artist, because it's so easy to just look around and be like, well, this person's doing this, man, they're playing this venue. I like, why aren't we there? Blah, blah, blah. And if you really focus on yourself, and to wrap in Willard's point, just focus on the music and being authentic, then those things will come if they're supposed to come, you know? So comparison is the thief of joy. I really like that saying.
Bringing it backward.